Ich würde gerne wissen, was er im Background für Optionen applied hat.
Du kannst die
Sieht man mich eigentlich auch? Nee, ne?
Ja.
Ach, uiuiui.
Hallo. Okay.
Dann noch mein Wasser.
Alright, we are back, and we successfully used a GUI to extend the display and not use the terminal. It was great fun. But now we are going to learn about Next.js and how Julius rewrote Prometheus in JavaScript, TypeScript. Is that right?
Something like that.
Yeah, okay. So I'm very much looking forward to this talk.
The microphone is still set for Björn, like way up here. Yeah, so I had no idea I was going to give this talk until yesterday, Sunday? I don't know.
Saturday, I think.
Yeah, you told me like, hey, you're building this new website, so why don't you give a talk? I don't have enough speakers yet. So here I am. All right, so hi, I'm Julius. Also started this Prometheus project together with Matt a long time ago. And yeah, I mean, so basically, you know, we have Prometheus.io, this website. I started building it in, 2014, over 10 years ago. And back then I was like, oh my God, this looks so fancy. It's awesome. And I mean, by now it just kind of looks a bit old school. It's not terrible, but yeah, we'll go into some of the issues. Last year, as you all know probably, or many of you will know, we released Prometheus 3 with a new UI. And that was also kind of my idea, like, okay, let's at least, you know, bring it up to halfway modern standards from the perspective of a back-end person like me. And yeah, I had the same idea for the website for quite a while, but then never got around to doing it because it's a lot of work. If I don't want to just like make some little cosmetic changes, again, the old one here, no syntax highlighting, as you may notice. But then, yeah, first of all, this old site was based on Ruby and Nanoq. So Nanoq is this static site builder written in Ruby. It did its job for a long while now. But you know, it's kind of hard to work with nowadays, because nowadays, if you're a web developer, you want to have like your TypeScript with JSX, TSX, and just kind of have a compiler to tell you if you're doing some obvious things wrong. And with the old Ruby-based framework, first of all, you know, people who wanted to contribute had a hard time just getting the local Ruby setup working correctly to get the docs to build. And then also, then you're fiddling around in these HTML templates that are, you don't get any like typing or compilation or anything. So you're just editing and praying that it works in the end. And the design is based on a very old version of Bootstrap CSS. And it's kind of old school by now. Was of course super hip back then. And there's a bunch of semi-broken things that nobody ever cared about. So also some missing features, as I mentioned, syntax highlighting, for example, for all the code boxes. And yeah, you can see the design. It's not really super duper responsive. Like if you squish the window a bit, the header breaks and like, text just disappears. Not so nice. What you want nowadays is for some elements to kind of smartly disappear and reappear depending on the viewport width. And so I had a couple of goals with the new design. First of all, it should look a little bit better, of course. I'm not aiming for anything revolutionary. I'm not a designer or that kind of person, but I just don't want to have it look super duper outdated. Basically, I want to avoid the effect where people go to the Prometheus homepage and when they're looking for a new monitoring system and they're like, meh, I don't trust this thing. I'm going to go for, I don't know, something totally different. I wanted to make it nicer to work with for the people contributing to the site. So, most web dev these days, TypeScript, React, that's kind of the standard. And then also add a few nice features and fix some other things. Note, totally unrelated, the actual documentation content is also sucky in many places, but that was not my project today. So that's for another time for maybe other people. Oh yeah, and one more thing, don't break any links. So at least that was my ambition, to try to make every link on the old site still work. And yeah, including with Next.js, you can configure like having slashes at the end of every URL, and then we had some the canonical links that you have to set in the meta tags and all these things, kind of have to obey that. Over a month ago, I just looked at a bunch of frameworks, some frameworks specific for building documentation sites like Starlight or Docusaurus and so on. And then I also looked at more general static website builders like Astro and yeah, other different web frameworks. For example, I love TanStack Start, but it's for this purpose not ideal because it's more very client focused and then also not very stable yet. In the end, I chose Next.js plus the Maintine React component framework because basically I figured, I started some example implementations in some of these frameworks, but I never was really sure. Well, with some I was really sure this is not going to work out. With others I was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to hit roadblocks later on because we have a lot of weird custom like requirements that have grown over the last 10 years that I want to rebuild, but just more modern. And then that's why I went for Next.js. So Next.js basically the most popular React framework. So 99% of web developers know React, and then maybe 90% of them have maybe also done something with Next.js. I'm exaggerating here, but it should be easy to find people who know the stack generally. It does mean that kind of I had to build everything from scratch in quotes with like the nav and all the layout and so on, and it's not doc specific at all. But you can build static sites with it. You don't need to have a live node backend for like server-side rendering. You can just render everything to a static site as well with Next.js. And Maintine is the component framework that I'm using in the new Prometheus UI as well in Prometheus 3, and I just like it. It's a little bit bloated, but it's very convenient to work with. Yeah, so this is a new website. Again, as I mentioned, it's supposed to look a little bit more modern, not the most amazing piece of design you've ever seen in your life. This is the front page. A little bit updated messaging and styling and so on. The docs have syntax highlighting now for the code boxes that do have a language annotation. We do not have PromQL syntax highlighting yet. Might come in the future. But we also have a lot of PromQL boxes in the docs that have like multiple expressions in them. So we'd have to kind of figure out how to break those up. We have dark mode. Woot woot, for the people who want to read docs late at night. Same pages in dark. So that's a lot of work to just make sure all the colors and for all the elements are correct in both. And then I just worked on this full time from morning till way too late at night every day for the last month because there were just an infinite feed of to-dos and features and weird things that I needed to recreate from the old site, especially when it comes to handling all the old content. And kind of transforming it, organizing it, and so on and so on and so on. So I'm not going to go through this list. And yeah, just as an example, so we are actually pulling markdown documentation content from both the Alert Manager and the Prometheus repositories at roughly 10 different versions, but not just the 10 most recent ones, but we want to include one of each major version at least. We want to filter like release candidates and this and this and that. So we have to kind of be a little bit smart about it, but then we do sparse checkouts of the docs folder in those directories for each of these 10 different versions. We check them out into local temporary directory. We have to like create a metadata structure that kind of points at all of them correctly, has all the front matter extracted and so on. And then in the actual documentation page, I can like reference that and build an actual documentation page out of it when the site is being built and rendered. Similar for the blog posts, although they only come from the local repo. Yeah, some docs are also locally in the repo if they're not specific to Prometheus or Alert Manager. And yeah, so I'm going to do a demo and launch now. Let's see. I have no idea if the launch will work. I'll actually start with starting the launch, and then maybe by the end of the demo, Prometheus IO will be at the new homepage. We'll see. Let's see. I'm a little bit worried. So I merged this PR here, just like, you know, it's just replacing the entire docs repo with a new one. A little bit adventurous, and the test didn't pass because Netlify isn't, you know, configured for the new framework yet.
I reviewed every single line.
Of course. I thank you so much. So basically the goal is, like we have it deployed on Netlify. This is the new site on a little site domain, and I just want to make these build commands the same here. So I hope that will be sufficient. Let's see. So I'm going to configure this, and the runtime should be Next.js now. And here we should want to do npm run build all, because it needs to do these Git processing and pre-processing steps. Oh yeah, it also needs to fetch like all the downloads page information for all the different components displayed there. Publish directory will be output. It will be out instead of output. And then I think that should be it. Base directory, I think we don't really need anything there. Maybe just slash, but I think that's, oops. I think that's the default, right? Not set. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it empty. And then let's see. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. If it doesn't, then we just, you know, it doesn't. It's not like the old website just disappears, hopefully. And I go to build and deploy. If anyone has anything to say, speak up now. Otherwise, I will just do it. So I'll go to deploys, and I'll tell it like, hey, you know, re-trigger a deploy and pray. And that should take around 2.5 minutes, very similar time to what it did previously. And we can just pray a little bit and yeah, hope that it works. And so I'm going to show you kind of, you know, the old side and the new side, what I meant, right, with the responsiveness. If you do this kind of thing, there's a lot of intermediate breakage here that isn't super good. The new side tries to be, it's always on my big screen, it always looks a bit, fits more content, so you can see more of what happens. So I'm just zooming out now. But you can see that like this header, you know, gradually makes elements disappear until the hamburger appears, and then you have this menu. You have your dark mode. Zoom in again. You have search here. This is now using page find instead of Algolia. It's a purely statically built thing that kind of, you know, generates a bunch of index files that the browser can load from Netlify. So no dynamic backend needed for that anymore. And it just, you know, if I search for scrape config, it should work. And then it also, what it didn't previously show is like these breadcrumbs for like which config page is this on. It's like Prometheus server configuration and not Alert Manager, for example. Like if I search for just configuration here, it gives you more info than if I go to, whoops, I didn't want to print. So you have to know, normally I'm on my desktop. So if I search for configuration here, you just get kind of, it's not so good. So I like page find now actually a little bit more, although it's not as snappy. Yeah, and then otherwise, let's see, bunch of features. I mean, the docs are still the docs. That's the good news. So, you know, it's still the same content. And right now I'm on next.prometheus.io, which was already deployed previously. So I know in principle it should work on Netlify. You know, you have this version selector here, and then if you choose an old version, you have like all these, you know, all the old features from the old website had to be rebuilt. We now have nice previous and next links. This one isn't formulated. Some are, these pages just got merged like an hour ago, and they should have a slightly shorter nav title. Otherwise, they would be nicer, like they would fit in there. And yeah, that's kind of the idea. You still have the blog, you still have, you know, all the other pages. What else? We have, of course, syntax highlighting. We have the feature where that already existed on the old homepage, but that was also a little bit of a pain to rebuild again. So where you go to a config section and you click on these placeholders with the, although you have syntax highlighting at the same time, and then it takes you, for example, to the Azure SD config, and it takes you there, right? And these things. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, also work to build it, and I expect maybe people to still find issues. Please just let me know. And I also hope that otherwise people like land on the landing page now and find it a little bit less ugly and all that. So let's see if maybe, yeah, okay. It has not happened yet. Okay, let's see. Aha, it's just slow. Okay. Yeah, it's not cached here yet. I need to create the build cache, but it should be there in a second. In the meantime, as this is live building, any questions?
Show your hack for inverting the U on the dark mode for
The which U?
The U of the...
Oh, the hue, yeah. Yeah, I actually didn't end up doing that in the end because, so, you know, when you have dark mode, you have a bunch of questions like what do you do with like pre-existing diagrams like this one, right? It's made for a light background, and you could, so what I did in the end, I actually kept it exactly as is and just put a light background under it in dark mode. But what you can do also is, for example, down here, this looks different than normal. Styles, yeah. So what you could do is I could like remove this. And so then it would look like this, right? Not great, but you can do like filter. In dark mode, you apply this conditionally and you say, hey, I want to invert. Oops. Should filter invert one. And then it doesn't look 100% correct, right? But then you can also say hue rotate, not by 45 degrees, but I think 180 degrees. And then it goes roughly back to the original colors you had. But then, you know, I wasn't sure if maybe Grafana would sue me because their gradient doesn't look exactly as before anymore. And then I was like, yeah. And so I was like, okay, you know, I'm just going to put a background underneath it, and now it looks like this. So, but actually, I do that for the code boxes currently. Maybe I'll change that in the future. But for example, if you have like this code box, and I switch it to light mode, it's actually server rendered and statically rendered out coloring. But in dark mode, I do the inversion and I make it brighter, so to still make it kind of look good. Yeah. Yeah. So let's see. Prometheus IO.
Yes.
It's there. Woo. Okay. Oh yeah, the most important feature. Notice how there's no line below the header now, and if I click on docs, it appears. Ooh. Ooh. All right, that's it. Yeah, and I'm really happy that this is finally merged, and now we can just improve things. Alrighty, any other questions, comments? Is it super ugly? Do you want the old one back?
No, just want to have the inverted pictures.
The inverted pictures, yeah. Okay, we can do that. I mean, anyone want Ruby again, or okay?
No, we want Perl.
Perl. Okay, we can do Perl. Why not just like everything in, I don't know, awk or something? Yeah.
Any plans to add RAG and AI chatbot, all this fancy stuff that you're doing now?
Whether I was using AI?
No, I mean, any plans to have
Ah.
like Greg, this AI chatbots that everyone is adding right now?
It's a good question. I have one on training.promlabs.com. By the way, if you want to get Prometheus trainings, that's my company. It's just myself, and I have a lot of trainings here. But I actually experimented with that, and I built like a little chatbot myself here that does retrieval augmented generation. So it pulls in all my private training materials, and it can answer questions based on it. So, you know, like, what's the difference between rate and irate? And then, or you can type your own, but these are just some examples. It's a little bit slow because it doesn't stream the reply, it just shows it. But yeah, have you found a lot of value on other documentation sites with this kind of thing? Yeah. Do you have like specific integration that you're thinking of, or?
I know like Grafana already have it in their documentation.
Yeah.
Also Langfuse, if you've heard of this company.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool because it can, I don't know how they do it, but if they can like show you the links to the specific page so you can open it right away.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like Google, but
Same here. Look, source for this answer is this. Ish. Yeah, I think that's definitely an option. I mean, it would have to be free, I guess, or the CNCF pays for it. And it would have to be relatively unobtrusive, so like people can still have a normal search, but also do the switch to AI if they want to. That would be cool. I don't know if other people have opinions on that. Especially if it does know all the site content, it would be really good to dig around in it. Normally, I just kind of, I always assume that public content ChatGPT knows about anyway already, so I often just ask that, but yeah.
you can like
Yeah.
actually open the page and it can show you.
Right, like directly on the page and ask question against that document specifically. Yeah, that's still a good use case. Yeah.
Never just the hard questions, right?
Yeah,
Simple questions.
true. Anything
And
else?
You can teach it. You can teach it. You can teach it from stuff.
Yeah.
If you a hard question, then you can teach it to make it even worse. The wrong answer.
You could include the comment section in the GitHub issues in the training data.
The comment section. Oh, okay. You were making a joke. Yeah.
No, it's like
Okay.
for specific
Okay.
weird cases.
Okay. Fair.
Maybe you find something in the comment section.
Yeah.
Or GitHub issues.
All right. Well, enjoy the new homepage, hopefully, and file bugs and bug me, and hopefully.
Do you
it
need
works.
specific contributions on something, or is it like?
Someone should fix all the docs. For the page itself, I think it's in fairly good shape now, because I spent like a lot of time just like working through all the to-dos, at least that really annoyed me still. But you know, I'm only one person, and I probably like overlooked a bunch of things that other people will find, and yeah. So.
But yeah, maybe you can, if you find something yourself, people can just like look for the help wanted tags on the GitHub issues or something. And then,
In general, yeah. I could tag things, yeah.
Yeah. In like for anyone watching the recording later
Right.
on, maybe. Yeah.
So who is watching the recording, and where's that shared anyway?
It's on YouTube on the Prometheus.
Oh, and it's live, yeah.
Berlin YouTube channel.
Okay. Hey everyone. Okay.
Hi, Mom.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Before you unplug, I sent you the meeting
Ah,
things
yeah.
first, but let me. Yeah, okay.
If got it. So.
Yeah.
I was like, it's my private one. It's not too private though.
It's not really private.
Yeah.
If you can just go to the very end, basically. So I'm not sure if I actually did this in the CNCF thing. Last time I did a survey. I need to check. But if you have any feedback in general, like let me know. I think we discussed during the break that maybe we should like mirror whatever we do on the CNCF thing to also have it on the meetup page to basically make it more widespreadly known again that like the meetup is happening. But if you have other feedback in like any direction, just let me know. I don't know what's on the slides. Yeah, so we want to do a next meetup roughly like 3 months from now, which is like August, end of August, probably summertime. Maybe we would do it beginning of September, just so more people are back. We are talking to one potential host, but if your company can host us in September, please let me know. And just in general, it doesn't even need to be in September. Just in general, if like your company has office space, let me know. We have like a spreadsheet for the organizer, so we can like fill it in with the name of yours and the email address, so we can contact you in the future if we need to look for hosts. Same for speakers. I usually put like a Google form with like 3-4 input boxes. Was fine to fill out, I hope. To basically propose talks. So if you have anything, you can propose it and I will get in contact with you. We can also discuss whatever you think would be a nice talk, and take a look at the slides together and stuff. Like, I'm happy to help if you need help. And yeah, like, please host, please propose to speak, and please join for the next ones. So yeah, hopefully I'll publish something in the next month for beginning of September. And that's really it. Again, thank you to SysEleven for hosting, and yeah, enjoy your evening. I think we have some time still for networking, 20 minutes or something, but yeah, thanks for joining. See you soon. Thanks for talking.
Thank you.